Welcome back to Munro Live. I'm Patrick Hurley. I'm a lead engineer here at Munro.
And I am John Wessendorf. I'm also a lead engineer here at Munro, where we specialize in tear down benchmarking, costing, and design improvement. And we do this along the way with a design first intent. Here in front of us, I'll let Patrick tell you what you're looking at.
In front of us here, we have a Eco Mower. It's the model number LL2206 SP. SP for self-propelled. As you see in front of us here, we have a aluminum casting. This aluminum casting is very resilient to dings and scratches and impingement of grass and rocks and such when you're cutting your lawn. Very heavy duty. This model, in fact, is actually designed for the commercial market. It's a all aluminum A380 steel, or I'm sorry, A380 aluminum deck that has been cast, high pressure die cast, and then on top of that, it has been coated for corrosion resistance, and then powder coated on top of that so that it is impervious to the weather and whatever element you might be able to throw at it. Echo, their parent company, has decided to go this route for their commercial market. They've gone this way by adding a lot of complexity into this casting. It protects the person walking behind from the element. It protects them from whatever might be in your lawn. It protects them from stones and so on and so forth. But at the same time, it has functionality. They've put in gussets and put in screw holes and such into the actual casting itself so that parts that you see here on the table could be attached to it. And those parts are functional, whether it be a black functional plastic, whether it be the wheels, the axles, handle for it. Everything has a purpose and everything goes onto this platform, as you will.
One thing we can look at too is as a reinforcement on either side of this deck, this guy, they have these material that is kicked up under the decking, is the aluminum is protected further by these guys. You know, I would also maybe recommend that even though it is commercial, they do advertise it for residential use too. So if I was going to buy something like this, I probably wouldn't want to spend the $1,300 price point for it, because this is an expensive unit. And Patrick has priced this out already. And but the thing is, if I want to buy something like this in the 1100 series, I think I would like a composite type material. It would be lighter, maybe durable enough for my purposes. I mean, I have a plastic deck for my 600 series unit at the house, and it looks fine when I look up underneath it.
So Eco has the plastic version of this. They call it the super composite, and it really, what it comes down to is a hard plastic material that pretty much does the same thing as this aluminum deck does. There's a substantial weight save too. This specific casting weighs 26 pounds.
It's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy. The super composite that they have weighs a quarter of that. So, you know, and that's marketed towards a different consumer, I would figure.
Someone like me.
Someone like yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, does it work? Yeah, it does work. Eco has been around for a while. That deck has worked for every bit of 15 years. The fact that Eco introduced this into the market, it's kind of a little niche. And again, with that $1,300 price point, I'm not certain who's purchasing these. I don't see these flying off the shelves. But there's different ways to, you know, again, lighten it up. And you know, is casting the way to go? I don't think so. These are curb protectors, so that when you come up alongside the casting, if you hit like a paver brick, it doesn't take out the aluminum casting. It actually is a buffer. This is stainless steel, and it's polished, it's pretty, it's coated, but it acts as a buffer between the aluminum casting and the paver brick, the curb, concrete.
Yeah, that's right. But I wonder how functional they would be actually.
You know, you know, from a cost standpoint, Is steel the way to go? I think there are nylons out there, composites that would be better suited for that, that are replaceable if they are, pretty much destroyed. Steel, it's an added cost. You're probably talking a couple dollars more than a piece of plastic.
Fasteners.
And then you got the
extra
fasteners
assembly
on top.
process.
Oh yeah, why not make it a clip-in and call it done? These are individual fasteners that you have to have a supply for, and then they machine this and put it on the bottom of it. I could see this being done in a nylon of some sort, something a little bit more heavy, glass fill in it.
Yeah, I agree. Because you're gonna knock the wheels into stuff, probably that into stuff, the top of the lid on the stuff. I know I do with my mower.
It's funny, and you brought up wheels. I take a look at these wheels, and they're very, very structural. There's a lot of structure in this wheel, and it's very rigid. I don't see, breaking a wheel at any time. Their Ego's outer wheel here looks like it's pressed onto this wheel assembly, and it's a phenolic material of some sort, and I don't know what the wear is on this. You've got a mower that has a similar wheel to it. Do the wheels wear or no?
The wheels on my 600 series don't look as rugged and durable as these wheels. But again, my wheels hold up nicely. And those, for those of you in the listening audience watching this video, you can see this is a sub-assembly. It's not torn down. Here at Munro, if we went through a complete tear down, every last single nut and bolt,
we'd pull it apart.
We'd pull it apart.
Cost it, weigh it.
Yeah.
Weigh it, cost it.
Everything would be bad.
Assembled.
Yeah.
Yep. Correct.
So we stopped shy of doing that for most of this mower for this particular video.
Yeah, this wheel assembly, pretty basic. Standard axle, a couple welded components. There's an axle inside of here.
Okay, so while you have this in your hand and I'm looking at this, they have an 8-position height setting.
Yeah.
That goes.
It's single-sided.
Has 4 inches travel. Yeah, there you go. It's single-sided.
It's single-sided.
So the guy or the gal who's operating this has to go to the front, change the height, and go to the back, change the height
again.
And again, on my 600 series mower, I have a lever in the middle.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Raises and lowers the whole
almost
deck.
a shifter lever on the side here.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a gear shifter.
Yeah,
it really does. So again, at commercial level, time is money. You want to change the height. You just want to reach over and grab one handle instead of 2 handles. Probably not a big deal, but it could be. But if we look at what's underneath the deck, it comes with 3 blades, 2 of which were attached to it. They look very similar. This one does to my 600 series blade. I only have 1 blade on my mower, but I can tell you this much: the blade on my 600 series mower, I can't bend it like I can bend these.
Yeah, these are pretty flimsy.
Yeah.
The gauge of steel on this is definitely not what I would expect to see on the bottom of a mower, of any sort of mower for that matter, whether it be a traditional mower or an electric mower.
Yeah, so if you're whizzing around this in a commercial application, you're using it 8 hours a day or however many hours you want to need it for, I just don't see these things holding up, especially if you're hitting rocks. Yeah, stuff like that.
Sand. As far as injection molding the composite deck, obviously it can be done. This shape, I'm sure we could, or Ego could mold in this shape. They'd have to manipulate the tool a little bit, but I'm sure they can get this depth of draw out of their tool. And I would like to see this manufactured in a super composite or some sort of plastic rather than aluminum. I think aluminum is a little bit of overkill. I know that, when I did the initial costing on this deck, I was surprised to see that the material, there's so much material in this, it drives a huge amount of money into this $1,300 of this mower. And Yeah, I'd like to see it done in super composite or some form of nylon with glass fill and see where we come out as far as the cost is concerned.
So if you look at this thing goes on top of the deck.
Yeah.
And we spent a little bit of time on this thing. You had some ideas so far as cost savings here.
Yeah, so I took a look at, I'm calling this the electronics bay, and there's two parts of it. I have another part of the lab right now. And this electronics bay houses the controllers. There's two controllers right here. We have that controller and we have that controller, and they slide into pin areas in the electronics tray. Very, very minimal amount of electrification inside of it, not a lot of wires. There's a lot of pigtails. Things go where they're supposed to go, which is nice to see. It was well thought through. But at the same time, too, you know, it opens up the opportunity. I'm sure Eagle uses this for more than just this mower. They must put it onto other mowers.
If I might interject something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember when we were pulling this thing apart? One or two connectors in this area, in the bay area, were zip tied together.
Yeah, that was confusing. I know we talked about it briefly, and we didn't understand why you would zip tie those together. Maybe Ego has a problem with vibration, and it pops out of that clip.
Well, when we cut the zip tie, it was pretty easy to
Pull apart.
Yeah. So that was a little disconcerting.
It was disconcerting. I can imagine, you know, maybe they were thinking ahead of the curve, you know, a potential recall. They know they had a problem, so they went ahead and put that zip tie there to get rid of it. We haven't looked at another model yet or another model in this series to see if that problem did go away. That would be something that we'd probably like to do in the future here, is to take a look at another one. And
I got to tell you, my 600 series at the house, after seeing that, I planned to this past weekend, but I got busy doing other things, man. Yeah. I'm going to rip into that. I'm going to see if I can find zip ties too. Just kind of curious.
Yeah, you know, it's a quick fix for something. It's not a poke yoke. It's definitely a quick fix for something that they know is a problem that I hope Ego is working on fixing, because I can't imagine people out there mowing their lawn and all of a sudden nothing, and then scratching the head going, okay, what's wrong with my mower that I just dropped $1,300 on?
Go into troubleshooting mode.
Right.
Doesn't work well for a lot of people.
At all.
Yeah.
Ego uses a fairly deep draw plastic injection mold for this. This is polypro material. Nothing fancy about it. Most automotive companies use polypro in a lot of their components and parts. There's some expansion slots here for a variety of different electronics that I feel that Ego is probably going to use in other models. So like I was saying a little bit earlier in the video, I got to figure that this particular design is common amongst other Ego mowers. And that's research that we're going to go back and take a look at and make sure that we do, just to see if that is the case. But, you know, it's pretty straightforward. It's a fairly large tool that they're using. Again, some fairly deep drawing action going on. So there's some dialogue going on inside of this as well.
How long do you figure it takes to shoot that cycle time?
You know, I started playing around with the model, and I'm looking at this is probably, I would say, close to 3 or 4 minutes to shoot this and let it sit and dwell. Now, I got to figure that this is not a one cavity tool. This is probably a 2 cavity tool sitting opposing to each other, nose to nose, or perhaps back to back. You know, it's a fairly long tool, about yay long. But 3, 4, 5 minutes in dwell sitting there and then cooling. I also noticed that they have in the tool, they have some texturing going on here. So
that's nice.
And it looks nice. It serves a purpose. It's, again, it's, you know, you're out, you're in a dirt environment, a dirty environment. Your lawn has got dirt and such. And this makes it easier to repel dirt.
Well, that's the first thing on my mower or anybody's mower that gets scratched up, you know, cutting grass underneath bushes and tree branches. You know, another thing we noticed on this part, someone said, hey, how come they didn't just, well, maybe a potential cost savings measure is to insert mold threads.
Yeah, you know,
instead of these clips.
Either, you know, I would say get rid of these clips and go to an insert mold of some sort, rather be a push pin. Yeah. Make it part of the actual event itself. Yeah. And all it would be is you take the vent and you just push it to it and snap it in place. Bam, 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 you're done. Rather than spending, 10 cents, 11 cents in fasteners and then another 20 cents in screws, just go to a push pin and call it done. Or, mold in. Yeah. The mold in is a great idea. It's, I don't see it being super complex to do a mold in. I can't imagine that this motor gets very hot in 70 minutes of work time. They have 2 vents, actually. They have one on each side of the part. So with that being said, I would figure that one's an intake and one's an exhaust. But I can't imagine the motor getting that hot that you need this large of a vent.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Maybe it was done for aesthetic reasons or something. Eagle was pretty smart. They created a cover for this electronic spay that sits over the top and it gets screwed in place. And like I said earlier, there's a back piece to this as well that sits behind where the bagger is at. And then there's a lot of airspace inside of this. So I have to figure design, they have a certain look that they're looking for. Their design guys are designing for aesthetics, not necessarily functionality. Yeah. I would figure, with that being said, that maybe they could reduce the height of this electronics bay, make it a little bit flatter, change the design of this closeout panel, and then possibly change their geometry for their geometry or packaging for the rear bagger portion of this. When this is all assembled, it sits fairly high up. I mean, it's pretty prone up in the air here.
Oh yeah, it is. It's definitely a bush banger.
Yeah,
but it's a cool looking bush banger. This dude here, that dude there looks like an alien.
Yeah.
By design, I mean, it's really cool. You've got your LED lights here. Something goes here. I can't remember what.
That's where they put their branding. It says Ego. It's a snap fit.
Yeah.
That we pulled out.
When all the parts and pieces are there and you're looking at it, it's like talking to you saying, "Luke, I am your father."
I look at it and I saw, actually, it looks like a cat. And I'm like, is the cat saying, "Hey, take
it's
me
very
out."
cool.
Yeah, it's
but it's asymmetrical.
It is asymmetrical. We did see that.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. How it sits on the mower deck, you have to look for it, but it's definitely asymmetrical for whatever reason. Again, might be a styling cue that they're trying to come out with. Yeah, there and along the bottom is not a perfect round. But it's a neat design. I mean, it looks like a little front end of a Mustang,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty decent. But, how many people...
Abuse, though, going.
It's going to take some abuse, right? I don't know how many people cut their lawns in the evening, late evening. These are very, very bright LEDs. Granted, this is a very quiet mower. I don't know what comes in as far as dB is concerned. That's something that we're going to look into a little bit further detail. But, this emits probably 3.5, 4 foot of light in front of the mower if you're going to mow at night. I know my neighbors would call me up or call the association and say, "Hey, why is Patrick mowing his lawn? It's 9 o'clock at night." But, again, are they functional? Yeah, but are they really functional? Are you meant to cut the lawn at night with this? I don't. On top of this, we have mentioned in another video that, they have this clear panel that lets the person cutting the grass look into the battery compartment. Again, it might be a styling feature. It's a pop issue type of thing. The designer's like, "Hey, we can make it look real fancy schmancy by putting this." I would think that if you were to make this cap and this cover integrated into one piece and just make it black, it would serve the same features, same function, and it would be half the cost.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea.
Because, you've got this material here is ABS. ABS is fairly expensive. It's got a lot of resiliency in it, crash worthiness and such. And then you come here to this clear, like Lexan, and I believe this was ABS as well, of some sort. I have to look here. But if you were to integrate this as one part and get rid of that second piece of material and you shoot it one time, you're going to be half the cost because you've got, instead of 2 unlike materials, you have one material, period. You know, what is this really doing for the mower? It's doing absolutely nothing except for giving a little pizzazz.
It's a sight window.
Yeah, to look down at the battery so you can see the light.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all it is. And I have this very similar on my 600 series lawnmower. I've got the sight window. I look down to check the light indicator on my battery more than I look here.
Yeah.
At the handle area.
Right?
It's in 2 places. And why do I not look here as often as I look through the sight window down on top of the deck of my mower? Is because based on how the sun is shining and reflecting off this, I can't see the LEDs.
Now, I know on some of the lesser models, the models that are below this model, that is an actual LED with a meter on it. I don't understand why Ego went back to this 2-dimensional information center and got away from a 3D LED. I thought the 3D LED is pretty trick. I've never seen that on any other mower.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This is kind of old school, old fashioned. I just don't get it. Kind of clever, you know, they're on and off. You don't have to have a key. You have no cord attached to you in the event that the mower takes off or running away from you and so on and so forth. That's great. And that turns on the features here. But again, it's 2-dimensional. It's kind of cheap looking. I'm spending $1,300 on a mower like this. I want it to sing and I want it to talk to me and I want it to...
Probably a nicer looking instrument cluster.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. For that price point. I think Eco kind of dropped the ball on this this execution for this particular controller or this visual here, this visual aid.
So the discussion that Pat and I are having, it's based on quite a bit of discussion that we've had not only amongst ourselves but with the other team members. Because when we went through ideation with this partial tear down, we brought folks and they surrounded the table. We brought an easel out. And that's captured probably on a separate video where we just tossed out ideas for cost savings or improvement of functionality. So a lot of stuff we're talking about right now, in fact, all of it, it's not off the cuff. We've already discussed it.
Yeah, we've hashed this about ourselves here considerably a lot. You know, again, like John says, we had a team come out. We did an ideation seminar or session, if you will, not a seminar, but here in-house. And we tossed ideas around about this mower for a good hour and came up with probably about 13 really good thought through ideas that we saw and we think we could add on.
And we would have a whole lot more if we tore this down to every last nut and bolt. Because from what you're looking at here right now, we'd have a whole lot more parts. We need 2 tables. Maybe 3 tables to hold all the individual parts and pieces.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of improvement that we feel could be made here to this product. You know, not just the deck, but other components within this assembly. One of our concern factors when we took this apart, we went to pull the motor out and found out that the bolts that hold them in place were loose, coming right out of the box.
Yes, so to further expound on what Patrick said, we flipped the deck over, we removed the blades, we saw the 4 bolts, went to extract the bolts, and the wrench spun freely, and it's like, whoa, that's not good. And then we could take the bolts off completely with fingers. So something happened at the factory where this was mounted to the underside of the deck. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, this containment box, if you will, for the motor, this is glass-filled nylon, very, very strong, resilient. In fact, it's insert molded to hold those fasteners in place. Those fasteners, if you look here in detail here, the inserts actually have Loctite in them. So the fact that those bolts were free moving tells me they were probably not torqued down.
Somebody at the factory goofed up.
Yeah. So this is the motor for the Ego 56 volt mower. It's an inverter motor. It's roughly 7 horsepower, and it has 18 blades here and then 20 magnets that when this is assembled together causes the stator to revolve under electrification from the battery. This particular shaft right here with this cut in it is what is attached to the blades below. And this goes completely through the motor. And that's how it is when it looks like it's together. There is a bearing that's in here and a C-clip that holds this all together. And in turn, this is bolted into the deck from the top through this container right here. It gets bolted in place, and that protects it from the elements as well from the bottom of the mower. Yeah, we have an additional video on this motor that you can see on Munro Live. Please take a look at it to get further details on the motor, the complexities of it, and the specifications as well. So this is kind of neat too. I noticed this when we were pulling it apart, and I'm dropping bolts all over the table here, but there's a handle that goes on the front of this mower deck. You know, it's like I say, it's about 26 pounds, 26 and a half pounds. It takes 2 hands to pick it up and move it around, manhandle it. This has the same feature. If you look on this casting here, or on stamping, I'm sorry, that sits on the casting, they actually put these little bumpers on it so that when you upright this mower and stand it on its edge, for storage, it doesn't rip up the stamping. Well, in order to get it upright, you have to use this handle to pull up on the deck to right it. Now, I don't think your 600 series has this handle.
No.
It's light enough that you can just lift it.
Yeah, it's very light.
So this is a lot of material. This is an expensive handle. This is glass-filled nylon. And it is an expensive piece on this mower. This probably cost $7 or $8 to manufacture.
I think we also talked about perhaps whatever this is aluminum, whatever else they might have to offer or will soon offer, just mold in a little handle.
Yeah, it's just molded right into it. Another feature, I'm kind of confused. They offer this side thrower shield. So when you go to mulch, you put the insert into mulch to block off the tunnel here, and then you're mulching with this. And if you choose not to be mulching and you decide you want to throw grass out the side, you attach this big old piece of fender material, I guess you could call it, and that sits off the back end of the deck there.
Kind of like that?
Yep, kind of like that, and it shoots grass out the side.
Right where your feet's at.
Right where your feet are at.
Yeah, we thought that was weird. We had lengthy discussion on whether or not that would kick grass out at your feet. I can tell you it would kick grass out.
I figure it would. I mean, it can't be that safe.
Yeah. So we thought that's kind of a weird feature. Want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's the self-propel motor.
Coming over here, Patrick.
Yeah, we're gonna. Our next project this week is to tear this apart and take a look at what's inside of it, get a better understanding of it.
Level setting here.
Level setting there. I got to figure that there's some sort of gearing inside the wheels.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no apparent drive axle out here. This is a gear, obviously, of some sort with an electric motor. This is probably like a sealed drivetrain, and I would figure that there's probably nylon gears in here, not metal gears, just because both sides are fairly light. But again, real simple axle design, nothing fancy. It's just a motor with a piece of steel going through it, and this is a stainless steel axle coming into here as well.
Came apart nicely the way you see it off the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, it's probably sold as a unit. When it needs to be serviced, whoever's going to service this for you just removes the 4 bolts, unplugs it from the main power supply, pulls this out, plops a new one in, bolts it back up and off their, back off to the races they are to cut the lawn.
When we tear this down further in our mapping strategy, we would call this, give it a number, call it a subassembly, and from there we'd break it down further into maybe further subassemblies and pieces and parts.
I was looking at these parts earlier, and I think these are powdered metal rather than cast metal. Just the way that they look, they appear to be powdered metal. But we'll find that out when we do further analysis on these.
Yeah, we could tell whether
parts.
it is or not. So there's actually in this subassembly, the main subassembly here, there is a lot of parts in this thing.
Oh yeah, there's easily over 100 parts in this.
So,
and you've got some welding going on in these spots here, weld here for these brackets. This is the leveler that John was talking about earlier. This slides up and adjusts. It cuts his arm off. It adjusts
medic.
height here.
Medic.
Yeah. And there's the support mechanism that holds it to the deck here.
Yeah.
This is hidden underneath the mower. You can't see it when you look at it from any angle. Mm-hmm. So it is hidden, which is nice to see. But they also they know that there potentially could be a heating issue here. Mm-hmm. So they put these grooves in. What are these called?
Heat fins.
Heat fins, yeah, and to dissipate heat away from the casting here. This is actual casting, and then this is injection molded part.
This is the battery that comes with this particular mower. This is a 10 amp, 56 volt battery. Inside the package are 58 18650 lithium ion batteries. How everything ties together before we take it apart is on a separate video that you can see.
Looked at this particular bracket that goes underneath the mower. This is sort of as you're driving forward, it's an impingement bracket. Not quite sure why they did it in polypro, if they were trying to make it so it was abrasive, resistant. Why didn't you use a glass-filled nylon of some sort, or re-optimize a part that goes underneath the deck? This is one of those things that's going to just kind of be destroyed, and it's replaceable, but I don't want to replace anything on my $1,300 lawnmower. I want to make sure that it's always good and it holds up for the lifetime of the mower.
Yeah, we don't quite understand the functionality of that part.
Yep.
And I think we got to close this out soon, but there is an adder to the backside of this unit. We noticed, and we said, when we took it out of the box, we said, what in the world how does it go? I don't have my glasses on. Okay, let's just say it goes, somewhere like that.
Yep.
And we said, well, what in the world? I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. So what in the world is that for? And we were perplexed until we found this piece, and we said, oh, how does it go? It goes like that.
It goes into that hole.
I think it goes a different way, but regardless,
yep.
It's an afterthought. And it's to hold this piece that we can't really figure out why it's even needed, this plastic part. We talked about it earlier in the video. So if this piece is really that important, why didn't you just mold in the little hole?
Right into the casting.
Right into the casting.
Call it done.
That's an extra part. You got a process. You got 2 screws, extra steps on the factory floor. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, this part's an expensive little part. It's a piece of stamped steel that is coated, and then it's e-coated. And you're probably talking $3 or $4 for this little piece of steel that could be integrated into the casting itself. So I'd get rid of that.
You ready to close this out?
I am.
Okay. Well, we hope you enjoyed this particular episode of
Munro Live.
Yeah, Munro Live. We talked about the Ego teardown we did, partial teardown. There's a lot of good information that we relayed to you guys. A whole lot more to come once we tear this down completely. And if you need our services for anything that we do here relative to benchmarking, teardown, costing, or design improvement, please visit our website at leandesign.com. Thank you.
Thank you.